For the first time ever, the Vegas Nighthawks win the IFL National Championship.
Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. The final team of our 2026 team preview series takes us to Vegas. And before we do that, I do just want to pass along my condolences to Jordan Jones and his family and everyone that he's played for, whether it's San Antonio, Tulsa, Green Bay, whoever it could be. Linebacker with all indoor football honors, and it really sucks to see the news break when we're doing the show this morning with Shady Sports with Around the Indoor Football World and trying to confirm it and stuff. But once that came out, it was just kind of tough to focus on a lot of other things today, other than just trying to make sure you hug your family a little bit tighter, stuff like that. So I know I'm not the first one to break it. I won't be the last, but I do want to send my condolences and stuff like that to all those affected. It sucks. I believe everyone here that watches this stuff and all the things that I deal with in the indoor and arena community, it's a very tight-knit group. Look after each other and stuff like that. And I'm not really good with words when it comes to stuff like this, but I do, like I said, I just want to pray for them and make sure that everything is good for the Jones family and everyone from Tulsa to San Antonio to Green Bay to whoever. It's a huge loss, and it sucks. And trying to transition from that to the Vegas preview is a little tough, but we're going to have to do it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on it a little bit, So, yeah, it sucks. It really sucks, man. Especially just a couple of months after losing Paul Ortiz, former kicker, I think also with Green Bay at one point, and you never want to hear that stuff, man. It's very, very tragic. So with that, though, not the best way to intro a video, but we will move on. And we do have the Vegas preview to do, the final team of our 14-team preview. So let's go take a look at Vegas. They need no introduction. They are the defending national champions in the Indoor Football League. We got their info. We've got their roster, signings and departures, a schedule, and 3 questions to take care of. So we'll transition into that. Hopefully we can make better times out of this, make better times out of Vegas, and we move on from there. All right. The Vegas Nighthawks, the final team of our 2026 preview series, takes us to Henderson, Nevada, a little suburb of Las Vegas, where the Vegas Nighthawks play in Lee's Family Forum. They are partly owned, if not fully owned, by the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL, and their subsidiary pretty much of the Henderson Silver Knights, who play in the same arena in Lee's Family Forum. So they're all connected. They all have Knights in their name. There you go. If you didn't know that, there's your fun fact of the day. But the Vegas Nighthawks, they are in their 5th season this year, and that's where Mike Davis comes in. He is in his 5th season as the head coach. He's been the head coach the entire time for the Vegas Nighthawks, and you won him a title. So here's more to that. He's got him out of the playoff hump in the first couple of seasons. You look at that down there in a second. We'll talk about it. And he wins a title. What more can you say? I did screw this up because they did not go 7-9 and 5-8 in the East. I used that as a template for someone else, but they did go 10-6 and won the Indoor Football League National Championship. So ignore that. A couple of typos through these previews, but I think I did a pretty good job. 32-31 overall for the Vegas Nighthawks. So just over 500 in the last 2 seasons. Way better than the first 2 seasons. 10-6, winning the Indoor Football National League Championship last year. 11-5 the year before that, losing in the first round of the playoffs. Before that, 5-10 with nothing. 6-10 with nothing. And then they didn't exist until 2022, so 2021 doesn't exist to them. And this was a team that, for all intents and purposes, they weren't the best. They proved it, but their offense was good. Their defense was good. And sometimes it looked like they were rolling, but they did get off to a little bit of a slow start last year, but they made it work. 48.7 points per game for the Nighthawks last year. They were scoring at will at points. 24. If they only gained 24 yards of offense, 244.7 total yards gained per game. 152 through the air, 92 on the ground. This team was rushing the ball like crazy. I kind of alluded to it in other previews and stuff like that, where you would have teams that get close to 100. This team was really close to 100, so they were doing it on the ground, through the air. They were gaining yards any way that you could. Well, I guess that's the only two ways you can, unless there's fumbles and stuff like that. But they were running the ball very efficiently. Some teams couldn't do that. They were throwing the ball very efficiently. Some teams couldn't do that. They were doing both. Third down, 48.7%. They were converting pretty dang well. It's not over the 50% threshold, but for all intents and purposes, it was all right. Like I said, not the best, not the worst. There are teams that converted a little bit better. There's teams that converted worse. They were right there on par, give or take. Fourth down conversions, 52.8. Again, kind of the same thing. Just over that 50%. It's not the best. It's not the worst, but they were doing it. Red zone left a little bit to be desired as well, 81.4%. So you're wondering, how are they gaining all these yards? But, third and fourth down, it was manageable, man. They were able to put themselves in these spots. They made it work. 81.4% in the red zone, excuse me. And again, not the best, not the worst. Obviously, you want those numbers to go up there, but for all intents and purposes, they were not the worst on third, fourth down, or in the red zone. They weren't the best, but they made it work when they needed to. Some games they were better, some games they were worse, and it averaged itself out. Defensive stats from last year, 39.9 points, given up per game, and that leaves a little bit to be desired, but they were one of the few teams that were actually averaging under 40 points allowed per game. So not a lot of teams were doing that. Vegas was one of them, albeit by literally 0.1, Total offense allowed 238.2 yards per game, giving up 166 through the air and 72.8 rushing. So it might have been last year, but I think at some points Vegas was giving up quite a bit when in terms of the passing game, that they were, I think at certain points, the worst pass defense in the league. They were able to correct that. I do not think they were at the end of the season, but at some points I think their pass defense was one of the worst in the league. They got that kind of corrected and turned around there. 72.8 rushing yards allowed per game. Again, they were giving up some yards. They were not staying in games. They were 10-6, but they were winning games and having other teams kind of stay in it for a little bit. Other games that they were just kind of blowing teams out. So for all intents and purposes, again, not the best, not the worst. They turned it on in the playoffs. That's when it mattered. 24 total takeaways for the team. So again, right on average with that, 22, 23, 24, along with other teams throughout the league. This is where it gets good. The defense, 41.7% on third down percentage. They bend but don't break. More chances that you were stopping them on third down than you were giving up. Fourth down conversion, man. The teams only converted 19 fourth downs on them the entire season. 38%. That's damn good. And that's probably how Vegas was able to stop teams, turn them over, either get the takeaways with 24 or you stopped them on fourth down. That's a really good stat right there. And so that bend but don't break defense allowed you to put up more yards, put up more points. That's where they got you. Same thing in the red zone, 79.3%. Under 80, it's not the best, it's not the worst. It's, again, serviceable. They were able to get some goal line stands. They were able to get some fourth down stands. They were able to go through that. So for all intents and purposes, the defense did their part when it mattered. Got them a title. Who cares what the stats say if you're holding up that trophy? Special team stats, 3 of 13 for 23%. Woo, buddy, not good. They only attempted 13 field goals. So it shows you that they were really kind of probably going for it on fourth down more often than not. And depending on the yardage situation that you were in, you probably did some tush pushes. I know Jerome Johnson was in there for some short yardage stuff as they kind of went tandem with their quarterbacks throughout the season. They only made 3 field goals, so that leaves a lot to be desired, but you attempted less than 1 per game. So it still sucks. I'm still going to call it out. That's horrible. It's atrocious. You need to get better at that. And they will. They will. I'll tell you that much. PATs, 80.4%. Not the best, but again, those are free, man, or pretty damn close to it, so you got to get those numbers up. This is the thing that kind of shocked me, though. 14.7 kick return yards per game. You had Antonio Wimbush, and he was returning kickoffs for touchdowns, too. Man, I figured that number would be over 15, maybe 16, and it wasn't. So, just kind of crazy. I mean, just kind of higher up. Some teams only had like 13, some had like 14 on the dot, so maybe it's a little bit better, but I figured it'd be a lot better. And big one here, 9 blocked kicks for the Vegas Nighthawks. That is just incredible. I think that's more than a couple of teams combined. I mean, they were they were really good on like one aspect of special teams, and well, the field goals leave a little bit to be desired. But like I said, they will turn that around. We'll talk about that in a minute. Top individual returners, as I've mentioned in all the other previews, these are guys that played for Vegas at one point through the season last year. They're signed on for another one. Jaden DeLora at quarterback, no one at running back. Wide receivers include Phoenix Sproles and Quentin Randolph. Offensive linemen Moses Mallory and Zach Fortier. Adam Plant and Lorenzo Hernandez on the defensive line. No one in the linebacker, no one in the defensive backs, no one in the kicker. Representing the Nighthawks, head coach Mike Davis, Joshua Tomas, 2025's IFL Offensive Player of the Year. He is signed over from Bay Area as they went bye-bye. And Clifton Duck is signed on from, well, I think he's from San Antonio most recently, but he's been with Sioux Falls and I think one other team if I'm not mistaken. But defensive back Clifton Duck rounds it out when it comes to representing the Nighthawks. And there we have our information when it comes to Vegas. We need to go take a look at our roster, signings and departures, our schedule, our questions. Get out of here. All right, we need to talk roster, and we do have a roster starting to get dwindled down, and this team will play next week. I'm recording this on March 7th. Well, not next week, but 8 days from now, whatever. Kickoff starts next week for the Indoor Football League. They'll play on Sunday. But we have some cuts already to talk about as this team is starting to dwindle it down, and you see it's less of a roster than I think every other preview that we've done to this point. I think most of those guys still had 30 to 40 guys. They've dwindled this down, I think, to 30. So roughly the very tail end, but still we talk about it. Jaden DeLora is your quarterback, I think, probably. Backing him up is probably going to be either Anthony Garrett or Yvonne Rucker. I think that's kind of where we're at with it when it comes to the quarterback position here. Who's just going to back him up? Because I think DeLora most likely has it locked down being the championship game MVP last year, unless Coach Davis decides, hey, I'm going to do this again to my quarterback, just like he did with Jerome Johnson. I'm kidding. But point being, though, is, no one's safe in this league. No one's safe on their teams unless the coach says you are, I guess. But there we have it for the quarterback position. Anthony Garrett out of Glenville State and Yvonne Rucker out of Bethel, Tennessee College. Joshua Tomas, we mentioned him a second ago. 5'8" out of Georgetown. Bay Area Panthers last year, a do-it-all kind of guy. Catching, running, returning kicks, doing all of that. He was just, what can you say? There's a reason why he was the 2025 IFL Offensive Player of the Year. Hint, hint, we'll talk about him again more in depth in a second. But for all intents and purposes, no other running back on the roster. He's going to be your running back. He takes over for Antonio Wimbush. As you'll see down there at the very bottom, he is off to the Canadian Football League. So Joshua Tomas, hopefully following in those footsteps again, gets a call up to the Canadian Football League next year or the UFL or whatever. The dude's a very, very good player. Wide receivers, Phoenix Sproles, Quentin Randolph re-signed for another season. Deshaun Stoudemire comes over from the Northern Arizona Wranglers. And rounding it out, John Irby, Giovanni Gradier, and Seneca McKee. So I think those top three guys are most likely your starters. And then you're going to probably have your fourth/depth piece. So we'll see out of those final three guys of Irby, Gardier, and McKee, who's going to be the one that's cut. I think one of those guys is going to be cut. They might carry two when you consider the veterans to that. Deshaun Stoudemire coming over from Northern Arizona just isn't fair. I mean, the season he had last year, incredible. And Quentin Randolph coming back for another season. I think he signed on partway through the year last year. I don't think he played the full season, but he did sign on partway through, and he won a title. Phoenix Sproles, this is a big breakout year for him as well. I mean, he played sparingly, given the talent that Vegas had last year. So if he is able to break out this year, there you have it, man. Vegas will have their way with it, man. From the wide receivers that you've seen with Vegas over the years, sky's the limit, man. CJ Wyndham or Caleb Hawley or anyone like that. Phoenix Sproles, he can fit right in there. So to the offensive line we go. Take a pick. Moses Mallory back for another season. Zach Fortier back for another season. And then you sign Christian Coulter and Sydney Walker from Bay Area. I believe one or both of those have all indoor honors or all rookie honors. If not, I think Coulter has it. Sydney Walker might. I can't remember. One of those guys does or both of them do. Regardless, that is a lot of firepower on that offensive line. Rounding it out to Charles Turner, kind of the odd man out, but hey, he's 6'3", 310 from LSU, so I'm not knocking him for anything. That offensive line is absolutely filthy. Simple as that. Moses Mallory back for another year, 6'7", Zach Fortier, and everyone's over 300 pounds. I mean, it's all size and weight right there. That's going to be enough to block for Jayden de Laura, or whoever's the quarterback, hint, hint, wink, wink. Now, it's going to be for de Laura, or opening up the running lanes for Josh Tomas, or being able to pass block so you can get it out to Sproles, Randolph, Stoudemire, whoever. The offense is insane. Defensively, Lorenzo Hernandez is back for another season. On the defensive line includes William Billy Martin, coming over from Bay Area. He was with Northern Arizona a season before that. Damon Williams comes over from Bay Area, and Kevon Bennett from Jacksonville. That too, very scary. That defensive line is humongously talented. Cedric Wilcox, who I think was exempt to the CFL or UFL a couple seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely mistaken, but he has signed on, 6'4", 255. So if that is the guy I'm thinking of, he has Vegas experience. I don't think he ever got into a game, if I'm not mistaken, but if it's not the guy I'm thinking of, then correct me. But I thought that was him, because I thought that was him going over with like Cam Dukes and a couple of other guys, but could be wrong. Dylan Ruiz rounds it out, 6'2", 255, and again, defensive line looks nasty as all hell. What do you do, man? They're all roughly the same size, too, so you know that there's a certain scheme or a certain way that they're running it. So you're probably thinking Damon Williams or Billy Martin's probably going to be your nose tackle just based on the weight. We don't know, but anything else, or maybe Lorenzo Hernandez, I'm not sure. But regardless, whoever it is, there's just talent abroad. What can you do, man? And we'll see if Wilcox and Ruiz can make their names in there. They have more than enough talent to do so. If not, I mean, one of these guys might be trade bait. But as you see the roster start to dwindle down, you're wondering who's going to be on the chopping block for the defensive line, because you kind of have the rest of it figured out, maybe. We'll see how it goes. Linebackers Trinalius Tatum and Ian McBurrow. McBurrow comes out of retirement. He was with the Iowa Barnstormers a couple of seasons ago. He did retire last year, I believe. So to bring him back out of retirement, wants to play, maybe wants to win a championship, I'm not sure. Tatum comes over from the Tucson Sugar Skulls. We spoke about him a couple of episodes ago in the Tucson preview. Excuse me. And yeah, that's a big get, because we talked about him being a key departure for Tucson. He's not necessarily a key addition, I don't think. We'll talk about that. Maybe hint, wink, wink. But him and Ian McBurrow rounding out that linebacking room is really, really good stuff here. The defense looks very good until you get to the secondary. Clifton Duck comes over from San Antonio, and then it is very, very raw. Don J. Lyons, Fred Flavors, Ershad Davis, Keyshawn Cobb, and Terry Roberts round it out. Now, just because I say it's raw doesn't mean it's not chock full of talent as well. You can see where these guys played for: Samford, Troy, Nevada, Miami. All these guys have size: 5'11", 5'11", 5'10", 5'9", 6 foot, 5'11". They all have roughly the same weight. So again, is there kind of a way that they have it here? I'm not sure, but Coach Davis has done a lot. A lot of these defensive backs have gone on to the Canadian Football League or the UFL or other places. Man, it's insane how many of these guys have gone. However, do you have enough time to break these guys in? That's going to be a huge question. Foreshadowing. I like it, though. I like what they have. I'm curious to see how this goes, because you've already dwindled it down to what you have here. So there's 6 guys here. You start 4 of them. One's going to be a depth piece. So this is pretty much your secondary. One of these guys might be cut. That's how we kind of have it. Maybe they're not cut. Maybe you keep 2 defensive backs. I'm not sure. But for all intents and purposes, it's right there, man. I mean, I think like I said, I think there's 30 players. You're going to probably cut a quarterback, maybe maybe a wide receiver, maybe an offensive line, defensive lineman. You know, it's there, man. Their roster's right there. Rounding it out, kicker Gabriel Rui comes over from the Iowa Barnstormers. Excuse me. Throat is getting cloggy. I hate that, man. I'm sorry. I do apologize for my throat. Gabriel Rui comes over from the Iowa Barnstormers, and this is what I was talking about with the kicking woes. To go and get this man who's earned all Indoor Football League honors, I think Special Teams Player of the Year, all of that to help out that kicking game, which for all intents and purposes was just kind of non-existent last year. And that's not a knock on their previous kicker, but for all intents and purposes, again, glorified punts, long field goals, what have you, inaccuracies, whatever the case could be. Gabriel Rui. It's pretty damn accurate. He is one of the best kickers in this league, and unless someone signs Kyle Kaplan, it's pretty much him and Mevis for Green Bay. Rui is so damn good, man. What can you say about him? But that benefits Vegas so much. It's insane the talent that they bring back to try and do a repeat here. Let's talk injury call-up and other list for the CFL and the UFL. My God, have they put players in the pros. Not to say this is a pro, you know what I mean. Antonio Wimbush, Desmond Bland, Hunter Pontius, Maya Nahanatu, James Caesar, Jaden Williams, and Philip Wilder, all exempt from the CFL. That's what, 7? 7 players to the CFL alone. Add in 3 to the UFL, Trayvon Jones, Adam Plant Jr., and Jesse Johnson III. 10 total players. 10 total players, and 6 of them played for Vegas at some point last season. That is insane. On the commissioner exempt list, you have Marquise Lawson Greenwood. I don't think he played last season, so I'm not sure what the commissioner exempt list is, but I remember seeing it, and yeah, he's on it. So there you go. Last but not least, Darius Parentis. He is suspended. I believe he is over to a different league. That's where we have it. There's your 2026 roster. To this point, we'll have it finalized in a week as Vegas takes on Green Bay, which we need to go take a look at our signings and departures. We take a look at that schedule, so we get to talk about that, talk about our questions. We get out of here. All right, we need to talk key signings, key departures. For the Vegas Nighthawks, they have gotten a couple of signings to just bolster that damn roster, man. Key signing number 1 on offense, Josh Tomas, coming over from Bay Area, 2025's Offensive Player of the Year, 2025 second team All-Indoor Football League for the kicker return position. So, Player of the Year, but not good enough to earn you All-Indoor Football Team first or second team honors, except for the kick returner. Crazy how that works, man. 139 rushing attempts, 623 rushing yards, and 23 rushing touchdowns. Bay Area was so damn good, man. For all intents and purposes, Bay Area was so damn good. Surely they've stuck around. 52 catches, 601 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns for Tomas. And then this is where he earns his credit. 40 returns, 647 return yards, 2 kick return touchdowns. So over that, 600 plus yards in rushing, receiving, and return for the entire season for the guy. So that's 1,800 total yards, over 1,800 total yards in all 3 facets. That is insane. And he gets to come over here and do all that. He literally just slips right into what Antonio Wimbush was doing, and gets to be like, hey, I got to do that again. So we'll see how it goes, man. We know the offense of Vegas at this point. Jaden Delore is going to scramble out when he has to. He's going to throw it. He's going to have the offensive line, the big uglies up front, excuse me, I cussed, freaking protecting him and like just finding Quentin Randolph down the field. If you can't do that, then there's Tomas in the flat. He's running the ball. They're running RPOs. They're doing what they need to do. Like there's no more nuanced than that. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Josh Tomas is just gonna make a mockery. It's insane. It's insane that he just gets to go over to Vegas. It's stupid. It's stupid. Defensively, I put special teams here because I can put special teams wherever I want. Gabriel Rui, we talked about him just a second ago. 2024 Special Teams Player of the Year, 2024 First Team All-Indoor Football, 2023 Second Team All-Indoor Football, and 2022 Second Team All-Indoor Football. The man is a machine. 51 of 57 for field goals. Actually, that should be extra points, not field goals. I screwed it up again. Look at me making all the typos and errors in the final preview. Couldn't be me. But anyway, that should be extra points. 89% on extra points. 12 of 28 for field goals, because I almost got excited thinking he hit 89% of his field goals. No, 43% on his field goals, which for all intents and purposes, not bad. It's not the best, but again, what he was doing at Iowa, probably had to kick some very long field goals as their offense would stall out from time to time. They did run an air raid offense, but if the air raid wasn't air raiding, You were kicking long field goals or trying to go for it on fourth downs and stuff like that. So, all intents and purposes, not bad when it comes to 12 of 28. He's roughly hitting almost a field goal per game on that average. So, 4 deuces, 2 rouges, and a long of 48 yards. So, for all intents and purposes, and everything that he's encompassed from last season, all the way back to 2022, he is, and I'll just throw it out there. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he is some sort of IFL Hall of Famer at some point. With those accolades, if he can win a title, and I'm not saying a title is what makes it or breaks it, because I think he might be in even without that, but winning a title will only just solidify it even further, man. I mean, that the stats and shit that he has had, it's just been insane. Sorry, I cussed again. It's late, man. My brain and filter do not work. Gabriel Rui is the real deal, man. What can you say? Key departures here for Vegas. Offensive lineman Kevin Toot, 2024 All-Rookie team. Sucks to see him go because I think he's off to a different league. What you brought back, there you go. What you brought back, you can put CJ Wyndham here because he's over at Fishers, but I don't know. I put Toot here because of the All-Rookie team honors and because I like the offensive line. I do like what Vegas brings in with Deshaun Stoudemire, so I figure like that was a nice trade-off. And I love what the offensive line is, bringing Christian Coulter and Sidney Walker over here. So yeah, Kevin Toot might not be like too bad of a departure, but I don't think there's really any. I mean, you can put Jerome Johnson here, but Jaden Delore is the starter. I mean, who do you put here for a key departure? They bring back quite a bit. I mean, like I said, your choice for me at least was either Toot or CJ Wyndham. I went with Toot. I know there's no stats to kind of talk about, but he did win a championship with them last year. He's been a vital part of this offense for, I think, the last 2 seasons. He's been their center. So I think that center to quarterback exchange could be a question mark a little bit, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as, you know, I'm trying to make it out to be. So for all intents and purposes, it sucks to see him leave, but what they bring in from the Bay Area side, what they bring back with Moses Mallory and Zach Fortier, there's not really much of a trade-off, you know. Last but not least, I do think that this one is a little bit of a bad one. Chizzy Umunakwe, linebacker, defensive lineman. He was with Northern Arizona before he came over to Vegas. He played part of the season in Northern Arizona, played part of the season in Vegas. Still won the title. But 72 tackles, 17 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries, doing that between 2 teams. That's the combined stats that he had, and he is over the same league, same team, I think, as Kevin Toot. Albany Firebirds, boo. I'm not going to try to, they're in the AF1. That's almost a big loss to me. Umunakwe didn't play the full season with Vegas, and he was actually very serviceable for them. Now, I know you bring in Trinalius Tatum. I know you bring in Ian McBurrow. Your defensive line is nasty. So the question becomes, where would Umunakwe kind of fit? I think he could vie for that starting job in the linebacker position if you give him the 16 straight games. I just don't know if he wanted to play 16 straight games with Vegas. I think he might have taken his money and run. I have no idea. I'm not calling him out or saying anything like that. What I'm saying is, you lose this production. Whatever it took to retain him, sucks you couldn't, but at the same time, that is some stats, man. 17 tackles for a loss between 2 teams. His motor never stopped. So considering what he did at Northern Arizona this season, that they were kind of having to go from that over to Vegas to keep that motor running, win yourself a title. It sucks to see a player like that go, man. It truly does, man, because like that, I think, would really kind of send Vegas over the top. And that's not me trying to talk down on Tatum or McBurrow or anyone like that. I think Umunakwe could have had a huge season had he stayed for another year, but we'll never know. That's where we have it with this. Let's go take a look at our schedule. We got some questions, then we get out of here. All right, we need to talk schedule for Vegas because, for God's sakes, man, it's all over the place. It is all over the place. Saturdays, Sundays, one Monday, one Friday. It's anywhere and everywhere. They start off the season on road games back to back with a home game, and then like their season is back ended with a bunch of home games at that. But let's dive into it. They start the season Sunday, March 15th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. It is the Hall of Fame game between the Green Bay Blizzard at Green Bay. These 2 teams played last season in the Indoor Football League National Championship, with Vegas hoisting the trophy. This is just a rematch of that as we induct 2 guys into the Indoor Football League Hall of Fame. And, Yeah, it's a nice, like I said in the Green Bay preview, it's a nice thing. It's a cool idea. I like how they're doing this, and yeah, it's nice to get the teams back together. If this is something that's going to be kind of a staple, I really would enjoy seeing this as, hey, we're going to do a rematch, and it's going to be for the Hall of Fame inductees and stuff like that. So really cool. After that, you have a bye week. Then 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Sunday, March 29th. You are on the road yet again, this time taking on the Tucson Sugar Skulls. And yeah, it's 2 road games, 2 bye weeks, because after that you have another bye week. So 2 of your 4 bye weeks are taken care of at this point. You've only played 2 games and you haven't played at home until you play at home. Sunday, April 12th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Jacksonville Sharks. You get to raise the banner against as your team gets ready to go for your home slate. With that, a short week to the 18th of April, we go 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff against the San Antonio Gunslingers. 3 of your first 4 games are on the road, and you've used 2 of your bye weeks. So kind of a brutal start for Vegas when it comes to, if you just want home games or, kind of consistency. Well, you don't really get that here. You're going to go on the road, you're going to have bye weeks, so at least you have time to travel back. You have that home game followed by a short week, and then you're on the road again. A week after that, April 25th, you play the new team at 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff against the New Mexico Chupacabras. That's your second home game. And then back-to-back after that, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff all the way down to May 3rd. The Arizona Rattlers come to town, and that should be a very, very fun game. Then you have another bye week, and then you're headed out to Boise. May 18th, you are against the Orlando Pirates, 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff at the American Dream Mall in East Rutherford. And if you win that game, you take on the winner of Arizona and New Mexico. If you lose that game, you take on the loser of Arizona and New Mexico. That will be on Sunday, and depending on whether you win or lose, that will determine the time that you play at the American Dream Mall, as you want to play for the IFL Cup Championship, or you're going to be playing for the consolation 3rd place. Short week. As you venture back home, you take on the Quad City Steamwheelers on the 30th of May at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Then a little bit of an extended week. You go on the road, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff against the Northern Arizona Wranglers on the 7th of June. 6 days later, on the 13th of June, Tucson comes to Vegas, 10 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff against the Sugar Skulls, followed by your lone Friday matchup the week after that, 10 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on the 19th of June, San Diego on the road. Going another week into this, 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on the 27th of June, you venture back home. You take on San Antonio as you wrap up your home-and-home schedule with them. Then you have a little bit of a longer week, 8 days, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Home-and-home is complete against New Mexico. Maybe your 3rd game against New Mexico if you venture and play them in the Indoor Football League Cup. Who knows? That is on July 5th for that 4th of July weekend. Next Sunday after that, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff back at home. San Diego rounds that out, so you complete your home-and-home series against them at home. And your final game of the season, back-to-back home games to end the season after this, Northern Arizona, 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on July 25th, and that is after a bye week. So you get quite a few days to take care of that, and that ends your season. So what we notice here is you start the season 3 of your first 4 on the road. You finish with 3 of your final 4 at home. So it is a nice little trade-off here. What you notice about this schedule too, not a lot of true road games because you had to make some room for that Indoor Football League Cup. So you do see the full slate of 8 games that Vegas has. Not a lot of true road games. And there you have it. They only play Arizona once. There's a possibility they play them twice if they do meet in the championship or in the consolation if the upsets happen, or whatever the upsets could be. We don't know. I'm thinking that Vegas is going to be a favorite and Arizona is going to be a favorite, but you tell me in the comments. No, this will be a fun season, man, especially the final couple of weeks. You get San Diego at home. We don't know what New Mexico, Northern Arizona, or San Antonio can be capable of, so those could be some games that could have some implications for the playoffs for those 3 teams, and Vegas could play spoiler to all 3 of them, or they could pull upsets and put Vegas in what could be a vicarious situation. So whatever the case could be. But there we have it with this. That's your schedule for your Vegas Nighthawks. Really, really weird schedule. You're going to have to look all over the place of where they're playing, when they're playing, what day they're playing on, all of that. who they're playing, what, why, how, who, when, all of that. But we need to go talk about some questions, and we wrap everything up when we get out of here. 3 questions. 3 questions for the Vegas Nighthawks, open-ended questions. I've done this in every preview. Just, you can answer them in the comments if you want. You don't have to. It doesn't matter to me. Just questions that I have kind of picked in my brain from the end of last season to the start of this season, through all the signings, coaching changes, what have you, and kind of settle on these 3. Everyone's had those. Go check out the other previews if you haven't. Shameless plug. Question 1 for the Vegas Nighthawks. Reload and repeat? Not much of a question, I get that, but it's a question we ask with anyone who wins a championship. What can you do to repeat? You've got a roster that's loaded with talent. You have a roster that brings back quite a few guys that won the title last year. You're bringing a couple of guys that seem very hungry for a national title from the teams that they played with last year. And I think all of those pieces fit the schemes. So I think you are reloading. I think you are trying to repeat. Why wouldn't you be? And for all intents and purposes, I really like what I see. Now, talk about it in question 2. The defense is a little bit of a question mark, or the secondary, is a little bit of a question mark to me. But other than that, by the end of the season, I don't know if it'll be a question mark. I don't know if those guys will learn. We know, the coaching staff that, was there last year isn't fully intact from last year. Kyle Moore-Brown is down in New Mexico. We know that. A couple of coaches have left, what have you. But they have brought on some coaches. So, again, we talk about the signings and departures, the trade-offs and stuff like that. Did Vegas get worse? Did they get better? Did they stay the same? I'd like to think that they got better. I don't think they got worse. At the very least, they stayed the same. So, reload and repeat, I think on all facets, whether it's coaching, whether it's players, I think they got better. I think they got better because I picked them to win the title last year. I didn't think they would, and they did. So, yeah. They are reloading. They are repeating. This team looks poised for another run, and I think with what the Western Conference has, I think there's a good chance that they can kind of go through that pretty well. So, yeah. Question 2: defense got rated. Can they pick up from 2025? Now, what I alluded to in the departures, what I alluded to in the roster segment, and all of that stuff, 3 of their defensive backs are in the CFL or UFL. The defensive linemen are in like the CFL or UFL. Like their defense got rated, but for a good thing. There have been a couple of defensive players that have gone on to like New Mexico and a couple of other teams and stuff like that. But for the most part, they've all gotten promoted. But either way, the team got kind of rated. Can they pick up from what was last year to this year? And like I said, it's kind of in question 1, kind of in the same vein where you brought in some guys from other places. I like what the defensive line has. I like what the linebacking core has. The secondary leaves me a little bit to be desired, but again, it's depending on the trial by fire and the bye weeks that you have to start the season. Those could be building moments to build that chemistry, to have those extra practices, to go through all of that stuff. It could be a point in time where at game 14, these guys they're still rookies, but they're no longer rookies in terms of they've played 14 games. So it's crazy. If I had any issue right now, I think it would be the secondary. But even then, knowing what this team has been capable of the last couple of seasons, is it that big of a worry? Yes and no. Because I can see it going one way of like, I'm thinking it's a worry, and then they just, okay, there's Vegas again. And on the other hand, it's like, okay, should I be worried? Okay, maybe they've played a game or two, they look all right, and then they could get exposed. Who knows? And that's obviously where it comes down to coaching, where it comes down to the schemes and teams that they're playing and stuff like that. Because if they started off with like San Diego, this could be different. Nate Davis can sling that ball around, but they don't. They start off with Green Bay, which they're dealing with their own roster turnover at their own time, so it could benefit them. Then you get some bye weeks in there as well. You play Tucson, who, for all intents and purposes is still kind of on that up and up. So again, it kind of works out, and it's 6-7. I realized I was doing that. So I think that benefits Vegas a little bit. The schedule does benefit them with this. I think they can pick that up. I do. Question number 3. Is Josh Tomas the next great Vegas Nighthawks running back? For the last couple of seasons, the Vegas Nighthawks have had Antonio Wimbush. Antonio Wimbush came over from the Iowa Barnstormers, and he fit in very nicely. And before that, they had Devontae Saplinch, who, for all intents and purposes, he did pretty well at Tucson. He's been a veteran of the indoor game. I think he's been with Spokane, the Nebraska Danger, a couple of other teams, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's been around for a little bit. So a really good running back. Wimbush, very, very good running back. And we've seen what Tomas has been capable of doing over in Bay Area. If he can replicate what he's done for Bay Area, replicate what Antonio Wimbush has done here in Vegas, this is the next great running back. And that takes a lot of pressure off that passing game. He helps out in that passing game. He takes a lot of pressure off that special teams with his return capabilities, man. He can return touchdowns just like Antonio Wimbush did. And I'm not trying to compare him to Wimbush. It might seem like that throughout this entire preview. I'm not. I'm trying to correlate it as Wimbush did all these things very well, and we're seeing a guy who can do the exact same thing. Can he do it better? I'm not trying to compare the two, but it's like, yeah, he's doing the exact same things. Can he do it better? You know, he is Josh Tomas. He's not Antonio Wimbush 2.0. He is Josh Tomas. He has those stats, over 1,800 all-purpose yards. The dude is incredible. And I think with what you can bring in with this offensive scheme, you have Randolph, you have Stoudemire. These are some deep threats. You have Phoenix Sproles, who can hopefully break out. You have some of these rookies on the receiving core you hope can take over when called upon to do so. My only issue with Josh Tomas is there's no depth behind him as of right now. That can change. We know rosters are fluid up to this point, and even midway through the season, you can sign a running back. So you can sign a running back at any freaking time. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt, but you do have to worry about that because he's the only running back on the roster. If he goes down in the middle of a game and you don't have any depth at that position, one of those wide receivers is running some jet sweeps, or you're putting Jane Delore at the running back spot, man. I'm kidding. You're not doing that, but that's where you take it into consideration. Like, Tomas can do so much. You just don't want to wear him out. You don't want to fatigue him. And I think for me, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration too. Now, you don't want to wear him out towards the end of the season and not have him playoff ready as well. So we'll see how it goes. I know it's kind of wishful thinking, and that's not how players think. They want to play every single snap. But for the most part, I think Josh Tomas can be the next great Vegas Nighthawks running back. So there you have it. There's our three questions. Are we reloading and repeating? Defense got rated. Can they pick up from 2025? And is Josh Tomas the next great Vegas Nighthawks running back? So with that, we need to wrap up. We need to get out of here. All right. And that is it for our Vegas Nighthawks preview. We are done. We are done with the team previews, baby. I wish I had like a kazoo or something to, went. That's the best I can do. I don't have a noisemaker or anything like that. I should have got my stunner shades over there with my Monopoly money. Who cares? We didn't win a bet, but we're done. We're done with all the previews and stuff like that, and really happy to be done with that because this is a huge freaking labor of love, man. I hope you guys at least watched a little bit of these to this point, because this is a huge undertaking, even more so than I've done in the previous previews and things along those lines. So a lot of effort. I ask kindly to like, comment, share, and subscribe, man. It's like a huge effort to take all of this stuff. I don't ask for a lot, but it's a lot. Watch these. It's fun. I enjoy it. We have a week until the Indoor Football League is back. We do. We have a week until the Indoor Football League is back. I am so excited. And I have one more video to put out until the previews. And that video is going to be my playoff predictions, records, stuff like that for the Indoor Football League and everything pertaining to that. So I will go through, I'm not going to go through it in the video, but I'm going to go through personally and go game by game, pick winners, losers, stuff like that based on, everything that I think can happen or could happen. Base that, get your playoffs, get your champion. I'll go 3 for 3. I've picked Arizona, I've picked Vegas. I will get 2026 as well. If not, I will shave Chris's head, and then we just move on from there. And we'll do our playoff predictions and all of that stuff, and then we move on to week 1 because we're already there. So with that, I'm going to take off here, guys. I love and appreciate you. I love and appreciate you so much. Again, if you feel so inclined to, like, comment, share, subscribe. I love making this stuff for you guys, and the more you watch, the happier it makes me, because I love putting out this content. It means a lot. Get to talk ball with a bunch of people. It's a lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to take off here, guys. I love you. I will see you in that playoff preview and prediction video. I will catch you in the week 1 preview if you don't want to watch that. And the indoor football season is here. The indoor football league season is here, baby. We have made it. Another off season down. The regular season is upon us. But I'll catch you in those videos. Until then, see ya.